Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett, Grant Cardone. What do all these gurus have in common? Well, they all claim that making your first $100,000 is the hardest. Well, I'm here to tell you that this very advice is keeping most of you guys from reaching your financial goals. What I found is that making your first $100,000 is way easier than these guys claim. Your first $100,000 is way closer than you think if you're willing to take the right steps. The truth is, most people, specifically Americans where I come from, they're lazy, and most importantly, they don't have access to the right information. And after watching this video, you're gonna realize the only difference between you saving that first $100,000 is simply action. Just to give you guys a little bit of backstory, if you guys don't know about me, I was able to make over $100,000 with no college degree, and I'm here to tell you that it's way easier than you think. So if we backtrack to 2021, during this time the crypto market was down and I was hungry to invest. I knew by getting a job at Chick-fil-A or McDonald's would not set me up for success, because the reality is I knew I would be trading my time for money. And if I'm gonna trade my time for money, I wanna make sure the upside is as high as possible. For example, I'm out here in Bangkok, and the other day I met a guy who came out here to pursue a career in remote work, and he mentioned how he really did not want to go back to his previous life where he worked at Chick-fil-A for $12 an hour in Miami. Keep in mind, $12 an hour in Miami does not get you far at all, and I can only imagine trading 40 hours a week to make less than $500 after tax. And it got me thinking that most guys don't actually know how to make real money. And I'm not talking about starting a business or even trading, right? These are all just vehicles to funnel the hard-earned money you made. But the quickest path to success is simply by trading your time for a lot of money. And once you make this money, that's when you take the big moves. You start making the investments. Maybe you want to start a business, right? But the reality is starting a business is hard. Back when I was 18, me and my best friend started an Amazon FBA business. We were hungrier than ever, and we literally woke up at 4 a.m. every morning to make this work. And then after that, I worked another 6-hour shift serving, making $13 an hour at a retirement home. There wasn't even tips. That's how ridiculous that was. But anyway, that's besides the point. We were working our butt off just to make this business work. And guess what? We did. We had some traction. We had sales, but the bottom line was that wasn't what we wanted at all. So long story short, we ended up investing in crypto, and of course the bear market struck not too much later, and that's when I decided it was time to make as much money as possible. And no, not by starting another business, but by actually getting up on my 2 feet, walking into other successful businesses who are willing to pay their employees top dollar, and then giving it my all. So really in my approach to maximize my income with, we'll just call them blue collar jobs for lack of a better term, I knew there had to be a little bit of strategy involved. My very first job was actually through Indeed. I simply applied, they responded, and I got the job. It was a job at a beach resort, simply giving people towels, walking them to their chairs, and setting up the beach every morning for the guests. And yeah, I mean, the cash wasn't bad. You'd make some cash here and there, but that job in itself was not enough. And that's when I decided to take things to the next level. I was looking on Indeed, and no, not just blindly applying to any job I might see. After filtering the results, I would extract all the posts that were willing to pay $25 an hour. I wouldn't care if it needed experience, I just put it on my list. And here's one thing I understood applying to Indeed in the past, is that most of your applications go in the trash. It's pretty much a waste of time. There's a very select few companies that will respond to your applications, and ironically enough, the one that became the most lucrative worked out for me. Now, do I suggest you apply to jobs in Indeed? No, I do not suggest that. What I suggest you do is after you compile that list of jobs on Indeed, you get in your car and you drive to these places. Do not apply online. Once you arrive at the business, you simply walk in, and let's say you're applying to be some sort of technician or construction worker. You simply walk in and say, "Hey, who can I speak to learn more about becoming an installer?" That's it. Simply say that. That gets you in the door. You're pretty much getting interviewed already. You already know the place is hiring and you're filling that demand. Businesses love when you show up ready to work. You are literally setting yourself apart from 99% of Americans who apply to jobs and don't even show up. This is what allowed me to get my first $25 an hour job, which was perfect for me at the time. Anyway, after working this job for about a few months, it was around springtime at the beach, which keep in mind, I still had that job. I had 2 jobs at the time. My construction job Monday through Friday, and then I would work the beach on the weekends and earn some extra cash. And usually every year around spring is where the beach gets very busy. A lot of people from up north are flocking down, ready to spend their money, ready to give you the $20 bills. And this is what me and all the guys look forward to at that job. And during this time in spring, this is when I decided to go all in on the beach because I knew I would make a higher dollar earning. So I decided to quit the other job, go all in on the beach. Of course, me and all the guys, we all love the cash. We'd all rely on making the cash. That's pretty much how we made most of our money because the base pay was only about $12, $13 an hour. So one thing the company did do well, they allowed gratuity options on our square system. And this was the day it clicked for me. We had a reservation for 2 deluxe double day beds. If you guys have gone to the resorts, you know what I'm talking about. But the total was about $700. And then I thought to myself, well, is it better to just get the $20 bill, $40 bill that they might give? Or is it best if they decide to leave gratuity on the iPad? Now, one thing to note about the gratuity system is that it was split between the staff. So most of the guys didn't really like it. It was kind of a bad thing when it happened. But then I thought to myself, well, if they're to leave 20% of a $600 tab, you can do the math, but that's about $120 for all of the staff to split. And keep in mind, there's normally like 6 guys at a time, so that's quite a bit of money. So when they came up to the kiosk and they were to sign out, this is when I went balls deep. And some of you guys might hate me for this, which is okay, but I was simply just capitalizing on America's tipping culture. So before they signed out, I decided to hit the 20% button, turn the tablet to them and say, 20% for the staff is included in the total. Just go ahead and sign in, hit done, and boom. And there it was. We bagged $120 for all of the staff to split, and after that, the rest was history. We understood more sales equals more gratuity. So we started driving sales up, making more gratuity with our new system, and I was able to average over $30 an hour at this job. But this wasn't the end. After the company had seen the efforts I'd put in and the way I was able to collaborate the team for one goal, that is when they promoted me to leadership. Now this brought my pay up from $13 an hour all the way up to $20 an hour plus the gratuities we were making. And with the slow seasons, with the busy seasons, I was averaging 70 to 80K a year after tax. And lucky for me, my expenses were pretty low. I was living with my mom. Of course, I was still giving her rent, but for all you guys in the States, you guys know how the rent prices are. All in all, I was in a position to make as much money as fast as possible, which allowed me to invest and actually grow my portfolio, which is currently sitting at about $200,000 USD. If you take away anything from this video, is that it's very in reach to make your first $100,000 fast. There's 2 key things that you have to make sure you do. Number 1 is what we talked about. Make sure you are maximizing your income as much as possible, whether that's getting 2 jobs or finding one high-paying job. And number 2, you want to cut down your expenses. Now, I know it's easier said than done. Trust me, I know it is. But if you really wanted to make it work for yourself, if you really wanted to give yourself the ability to invest or to travel or whatever you might want to do, then you can absolutely make it happen. For example, let's say, I know this sounds crazy, but even if I had to take the extreme of living in my car, I would have. I absolutely would have. Because I understood if I were to get my own place that I'd be spending over half my money in rents, and it's pretty much going down the drain. And I didn't feel as if my quality of life was even that good to begin with. But the idea is not to let these guys like Warren Buffett who say making your first $100,000 is the hardest to deter you from doing so. It's actually the easiest. The harder part is learning how to risk your money properly. Understanding risk and understanding a market, whether it being crypto, real estate, even just getting into business, that's a skill. You have to understand how to multiply money. That's knowledge you have to acquire. That's years of knowledge and skill you have to acquire. But in fact, the easiest part is just putting in the time and effort to make that first $100,000. Here's what I'm going to do for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and link in the description the same tracker I use to find these high-paying jobs. What I recommend doing is just filtering Indeed to your local area or maybe a big city nearby to an hourly rate that you would like to earn. I recommend industries like sales, service, and construction. Those are the top 3 most lucrative positions to start earning fast. And then from there, make a list. And once you're done with your list, show up to these places ready to work, asking about the position. I guarantee you, if you make a list of 50 places that are hiring for your price point, you will land a job. I literally guarantee you. And then after you do this, see if you can cut your expenses anywhere. And number 3, this is optional, but what I did was learn how to trade and invest. I dialed in on technical analysis, which allowed me to make the best investing decisions and then multiply my money. If you guys have any questions or need any help, please comment down below. Thank you guys, and I'll see you next time.